Good evening, everybody, and welcome to my continued series on Metaverse. And in today's session, I'll be talking about the career opportunities which are open for each one of us in the augmented and virtual reality. Okay, as you know that this is a stream which is completely dedicated to the magical world of Metaverse, and you know, this magical world of Metaverse has been thrust upon us, and we should see it as an opportunity and move on. Okay. So in this today's presentation, I'll be talking about why Metaverse is creating lot many opportunities for us. And before that, I will be setting the context for that. As you all know that Metaverse is a new world order. So by that, what we mean is actually that it has created such an opportunity and such a different world which we need to migrate. For example, when Columbus discovered America, the whole of European population moved over there, and they called it a newfound land. Similarly, Metaverse is a newfound land for for the humanity. We have to move there. And how it is the technology which has created this, and technologies are used to create new functionalities in this metaverse to support every human activity. For example, in the earlier sessions that we have noted that metaverse need to support financial transaction. For that, we have used blockchain. Okay. Similarly, we know that metaverse has to create virtual space. For that, we'll be using virtual reality. That is what the whole session is all about. So virtual reality is at the heart of the metaverse world because metaverse is all about virtual spaces, and the technology which helps us to create is called virtual reality. Well, extended reality is actually a combination of virtual reality, augmented reality, and also mixed reality. These two put together will create a new space for us. And this opens career avenues for many people like engineering students and other graduates for everyone. Okay, that is what the story is all about. And in this today's presentation, I'll be talking about why and how Metaverse is creating opportunities for us, and where are my opportunities. Because the opportunities created by Metaverse is a spectrum. It is not one opportunity for one person. It is creating opportunities for everybody in the whole population. If you are a technical person, then there are opportunities. If you are a mechanical, if you are a marketing person, there are opportunities for you. Then if you are a teacher, then there are opportunities. So that means you will be in a position to identify where are your opportunities. And then we will also have something called type of opportunities. What we mean by here is actually, see, industry, technology is a big thing. And there are some people who invent technology, there are people who actually use them. So the two broad kind of opportunity which are there for us actually, either to use an existing technology to solve our problem, like see, during the web and internet, you can develop your own website for your college or your institution or your company. So that is actually taking advantage of the existing technology. Or you can actually create new technology which help to develop a different kind of a website. Then I will be talking about the roles. Again, I told you, Metaverse is a big spectrum where actually you can be an engineer, you can be a developer, you can be a fashion designer, and so on and so forth. And then I will classify this opportunity based on your specialization. For example, if you are an art student or in a creative architecture, then there are different opportunities for you. Similarly, if you are a doctor or an engineer, then there are different opportunities. And finally, I'll be talking about the core skills. That means your specialization actually is a basis for your choice, but then there are core skills which are different from your specialization. For example, you can be a non-IT graduate, say like a arts or a BA or even a non-IT department like mechanical, and not still be a good developer, which is actually something which is not very regular, or but now these skills can be interdependent. For example, you can be a computer science student and still a great artist or a great painter. So now Metaverse actually gives you an opportunity to combine them. And finally, I'll be talking about the resources which are there for developing our careers. So let me start with my first point, the new opportunity. Why and how Metaverse is creating opportunities for us. And we all know that actually Metaverse is a combination of different technologies. Okay. So for example, we have artificial intelligence, which will do a lot of processing. We have cloud computing, which will process a lot of our data. Similarly, we have a blockchain, which will create a financial or a transactional processing system for us. But another important technology is extended reality, which is also very core and very heart of the metaverse world. So what it actually means is metaverse is a combination of technology, and each technology is there to do certain particular thing. And while doing this, it is creating a lot of opportunity for all of us. See, for example, metaverse is all about virtual reality, and there you create an experience for a person. For example, gaming is an experience, meeting is an experience, attending a class is an experience, attending a concert by a musician is an experience. So all these are created by what we call actually virtual spaces, mean virtual reality. Okay. Similarly, for example, earlier we have studied like how cloud computing and blockchain will help you to build a decentralization within the metaverse. For example, Bitcoin is a kind of a peer-to-peer networking mechanism where actually you can exchange money. Okay. So the whole summary is that there are different layers, there are different segments which will help you to create metaverse, and while creating it they will create lot of opportunities both in terms of entrepreneurship, industry, careers, and other things. So what you should remember is, depending on your background, depending on your expertise, actually you can find a kind of a job or a location for yourself in this metaverse. For example, let us start with the experience. I told you virtual reality, extended reality is at the heart of the metaverse. So why do we use this virtual reality? We have to create virtual space. So once I create a virtual space, actually I will take real people over there. It could be as simple as a business meeting of a particular office or a company, or it could be a musical concert by some great musician or artist. So now this is what actually we are going to talk about today. So in order to create this virtual space, actually, we are using what we call augmented and virtual realities. So every segment, right from the entertainment, which is normally known as gaming, and healthcare, manufacturing, education, is using these technologies in innovative ways. That means, for example, there are universities in the United States and other like Korea and all, they are using augmented reality to help students to understand certain things better. And there are companies which are using virtual realities to connect a hands-on training on the on-field. For example, if you're a pilot, and a virtual training will actually help you to really experience the actualities of a particular flight and all. So as a result, augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality developers have now become some of the most sought-after professions in the industry. Back in 1980s, software development was a big industry. Today, developing applications for the metaverse has become a new opportunity. So now that I have told you in very abstract terms that there is a lot of opportunities for the people, now let us look at what are the industries which are creating this particular opportunities. So first one is actually manufacturing. So manufacturing needs augmented reality for the following things. So for example, to develop AR and VR solution for digital twins. Digital twins is a technology where actually you can create a replica of something which is real. For example, there can be a replica of myself on this world, or there can be a replica of your desktop on the metaverse. So that to develop that, actually you need virtual reality and augmented reality. You can also use them for training and simulation. For example, you can simulate a particular situation. For example, suppose you want to train somebody or to make them to realize that how does it look and how does it look feel to be in the space. Okay, space beyond Earth. Then actually you can create simulations there. Or if you want to train people how to fight a war or how to fight a firefighting in case there is a fire emergency in a factory, then the training can be done here. Design reviews, if you are into manufacturing, there are either products or services that you are designing, and this will help you to go through that one. Walkthroughs and collaboration tools are very simple. Walking through is actually an activity where actually you go through the entire process. For example, how does you take an online test? So that can also be created using virtual reality and mixed reality. So the first industry which actually is extensively using virtual reality and augmented reality is actually manufacturing. The second one is the entertainment. Actually, in fact, metaverse actually has an origin in the entertainment industry, where actually virtual reality and augmented reality are used for creating games. Then also called something called streaming and photorealistic capture. Streaming is, again, if there is a musical concert or an event, that whole event is actually streamed over the networks. That is using the augmented reality. And there are also marketing and promotion powered by AR and VR. That means if you want to make people to feel the essence of a product and its entertainment or its actually use, you can create a 3D dimension try-ons and actually help people to use that one. And the third segment, which actually is creating an opportunity, is e-commerce. Unless some technology supports the commerce part or the business part, it will not actually become very famous or adopted extensively. That's the reason Metaverse actually has lot many applications within the e-commerce, There are 3D configuration. That means you can feel that you are in a shopping mall by actually entering a virtual space created by a particular company. And there are web-based AR experiences. For example, suppose you want to buy a furniture. There is a European company called IKEA which has developed an application on your mobile which you can download, and actually you can see the products in their office or their company, and you can bring them and place in your house. For example, before you buy a furniture, you'll figure it out whether it will suit your background of your home or color, size, or the space, and all this can be done using what is called web-based AR experiences. And finally, virtual try-ons. See, one of the greatest problems today in the internet is actually, suppose you want to buy an ornament or a particular dress or a particular fabric, it feels when it looks different on the screen, and when actually you buy it and you get it on your courier, it looks different. The reason actually there's a difference between the reality which is available on the screen and which is actually available in the real world. But the virtual marketing companies have started what is called try-ons, actually where actually you can try with your avatar and see that how does it actually look correctly. So to a certain extent, this is removing the difference between actual what is actual on the real world and what is available on the screen. So now that I have identified some three industries like manufacturing, e-commerce, and other things, but there are many other things. For example, even medical care, medical training is also taking advantage of e-commerce, and even education is doing. Okay, but now let us move on to the kinds of opportunities that are there. See, whenever it is a technological space, there are two kind of people: those people who actually create technology, and those people actually who use that. So the people who actually use particular technology which is already existing are called leveraging the technology. For example, when you are developing a game using a game engine like Unity 3D, then you are leveraging a particular technology. But suppose you are developing a new game engine, then actually you are developing a new technology. So broadly speaking, in a technological space, either you can create a new technology or leverage the existing technology. So there are broadly these two opportunities available for you. So now that actually I have told you the roles, then actually I will go out when the opportunity space, then I'll be talking about the roles that you can actually play. Okay. So I told you Metaverse is a new world, and the first role that you can do is actually design architecture. That means design architecture is a profession that has seen growing demand in recent years, providing plenty of scopes for aspirants. The ability of cutting edge technology means that design architects can design both interiors and exteriors using AR and VR. That means before you build a building, you have to architect it. And currently, traditionally, it is you are seeing on a drawing paper or a CAD CAM software. But with using augmented and reality, actually, you can walk through that house. For example, you can see how you feel in a particular room or a kitchen. And not only that, you can also see how actually it looks in the morning when there is a sun, or how does it look in the evening when there is a sunset. So these architectural people can actually use augmented reality to improve their designs. Second, a software designer. See, so far we have designed software for the 2D world. That means internet, which actually separates a computer and internet and the user. Now there are occasions where actually you have to create a 3D dimensional things. For example, you should bring in a user to the internet, and that is possible with a different kind of a software. And there are jobs which are available for software designer also. System validation engineer is like saying a quality test. For example, in software, there is something called software development and software testing. Similarly, system validation people are those people who test whether a produced 3D product in the metaverse is working correctly or not. Are there any issues with that? Then I told you today we have a 2D world where actually we live in a different world from away from the internet. But 3D artists can actually use the VR and AR technology to create more 3D spaces where actually they can take in their customers, show them the experience, and do that. For example, in medical industry, medical training and all, it is possible that you can design a particular patient with 3D. You can actually help people to understand the anatomy of a body using those 3D touch and feel things. And I told you virtual reality creates virtual spaces, and we have to get people there inside. So this is done using what we call avatars. And once an avatar comes into that, one of the deepest desire of any human desire is to actually look great to other people, and this is done by actually getting a good clothing. Now, since you are in the virtual world, the real clothing doesn't work. So virtual designing is also a big job which is existing. And if you want to start your journey in this world, actually there is a software called Blender. You can use that. Virtual experience designer is somebody who will create a virtual experience. For example, in virtual world, it is possible that you can create an experience as if you are visiting Taj Mahal today, or you can create an experience where actually you can visit a particular museum or something like that. So there are some software platforms which like core games where you can start experimenting the way you experiment with the C programming and other developments. And the next role that you have is actually AR designer, which is again designing is a process of actually creating for the first time something, and developer is actually coding that part. That is also available. I mean, that is also a good career path. Similarly, virtual designer is somebody who game design. Augmented reality, I should tell you the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality. In augmented reality, something is already available. That means you are there and something virtual is created on you. For example, you are still in the real world, then you see certain things which are created by the digital world. Whereas in virtual reality, you are cut off. You are playing a game so that you don't even notice what is happening in and around you. So that virtual design is slightly different from the augmented reality design. And from the software background, the only point where actually you reach a customer is your user interface, either it's your mobile screen or your desktop screen or your server screen. And today, with additional technologies like headsets, VR headsets, there are different interfaces. Now, UX designer must create a kind of an experience which encourages people to use those applications or certain experience like games and all. So that is also a big industry which is coming up. Design architect works the interior and exterior of the devices. For example, any device that you create should be first comfortable, then functional. So this should be taken. For example, the way people design keyboards, the way people design screens, that actually affect the usage and the tiredness of a particular customer or a user. So design architect's job is to see that interiors and exteriors of a particular device are very comfortable for you. Graphic designers are those people who actually create print and digital. For example, the font that you choose for displaying certain things, or the color and combination of dress and all that you choose for avatars and characters within a game comes under graphic designers. One of the greatest applications of Metaverse is actually game, because games are the technologies which showed us that Metaverse can be created. Game designing, what it actually means is there are some famous games today which are created for the Western world, but now you can use the same game engines to create certain Indian games. For example, you can create a game like Kabaddi or Coco using these technologies. So there actually this designing part will come into existence. And there is one new job that you will be surprised to know. It's called Rigger. And Rigger is a creative foundation for AR and VR applications, automates the animations and works on the body of motion graphics. So this is something like a infrastructure setting up for the regular computer. For example, in a company, there will be something called infrastructure support group, which job is to provide all the computing resources required for a developer. So in the metaverse, it is the rigger who does this. That means that if there are repetitive tasks, he will automate it. If there is a repeated request, then he will lock in those resources. VR or a virtual space is actually a new word where actually people, when you take people there inside, then the sound effects also must be there. For example, if you are attending, say for example, a conference, and if it's happening in a big auditorium, the sound effect also matters a lot. For example, if you are very close to the stage, then you should be hearing in loud and clear. But if you move away from that towards the end or towards the end part of the auditorium, then the sound should become feeble. So to create this kind of effects, you need a virtual reality sound effect specialist. Okay, so these are the different roles. But see, as I told you, this has an extremely big spectrum. Not all jobs are suitable for everybody. Now you will look into the kind of specialization that you need and the kind of the knowledge that you have to get these positions. So if you have a civil engineering background, then actually you can take up the job of 3D designer or an architect or somebody who can design walkthroughs or interactive design environment development or visualize plans. For example, how does a particular building will look when it is built? Today we see it on a drawing paper. Then if you're a civil engineer, if you're using augmented reality and virtual reality, you can design all these things. If you are an electronics and communication engineer, then you can you can be a sensor developer. That means a metaverse uses many technologies. One of the technology included is called IoT. Now you can use your engineering background to create a sensor, okay, or communication protocol developer. That means there may be a communication from an edge device to your network that you can do. Chipset designer, maybe metaverse needs different kind of chips. For example, today what we have created chips is for our desktop, laptop, and our mobile. But then tomorrow, if you need for some kind of a communication or interface between metaverse, for example, a headset and all, then you might need a different kind of chipset. That job is also open for you. And the other two, a PCB designer and display technology engineer. That means display should be as comfortable as possible, and only people with electronic background can do that. Then if you are a computer science engineer or IT, then actually you can become a VR and AR developer, or you can develop actually a software development kit or an operating system. For example, if, as you know that any computing device needs an operating system, so there is a different desktop, operating system for a desktop, then for a server, and for an Android for a mobile, and all like Apple Mac and all. Similarly, if there's a new kind of a a device created for the metaverse, then you have to develop an operating system for also that one. And you also computer vision developer. That means when you actually see at a screen, then it have to interact with you. So now in Facebook, Instagram, and all for the reels and other things, filters, they use computer vision plus artificial intelligence. So if you're a CSE guy, then you should also be able to take up a role here. And metaverse is a very power intensive industry. That means to if you want to transfer a lot of data and all, you need a lot of power. And battery technology designer from electrical background can actually help us to create flexible batteries. So which will help us to operate at a longer period. For example, one of the challenges today that we have for electrical vehicles is the quantity, the amount of charge can be done on a battery, and how long and how durable it is. So electrical engineers can help us in the metaverse context to develop better technology and help us to use it in a different way. And even mechanical engineers have a great thing. They can hardware designer. Hardware actually here means actually a tool, and also 3D designer, material designer. For example, suppose I want to design a particular screen, then the material designer could be a combination from mechanical engineer and electrical and chemical engineering. Similarly, metaverse is actually all about people, and people want, arts, science, feelings, and all. People with the fine arts, for example, who somebody has studied BA or a creative science or a drawing and all, can help us in storyboarding, sketching, character design. For example, all these games have a characters, or even stories may have a character. They can actually use their knowledge in this particular area. So now that I've told you what are the core skills which are needed, what are the core roles that you are possible to play and the engineering background that you have, now I'll be talking about core skills. So hardware is integral part of metaverse. Then you need people for structural design. That means how do I structure a particular item? For example, how do I design my screen? How do I design my stage? Or how do I design my auditorium? For that, you need a structural design. Material also is something which is a composition which is needed to build up either whether it's a screen or a computer. And ergonomics is a science which makes a person very comfortable. For example, you may be asked to sit on a chair which is not comfortable to you. And how do you design a chair which is comfortable and also healthy? For example, if you are sitting for 8 hours of work on a metaverse environment, then that should not cause you a back pain or something, that kind of a thing. So ergonomics is a science of making life comfortable when you are interfacing with the machine. Then the second discipline that you need is optoelectronics, where which will be used for actually display technologies. For example, whether it's your mobile screen or a metaverse screen. And optics is used for lens technologies. For example, all these head mounted sets, they have a lens because they need to capture images and all. And optics people can help us in building lens technologies for us. Electrical people again can help us in PCB design and semiconductor and chipset design. And one of the important technology which works with IoT is sensor technologies. When we need sensor technologies, gyros actually means movement, motion tracking. For example, if somebody is looking on a screen, then you should be monitoring his eyes. Similarly, if somebody is walking or moving or running in the metaverse, then you should be tracking his motion. Okay. Haptics is all about touching something. That means sense. Okay. For example, a doctor can touch a patient and find out what is his temperature. Okay. Or find out what is pulse. For that, you need this one. Biosensors. That means you would touch somebody's body and actually try to get to the sense of it. See, for example, there is something called brain computer interface, which is developed by a company which is actually established by Elon Musk, who, according to whom actually you will have an interface that if you think of something that will be conveyed to the computer directly. Currently, we are using either a keyboard or a mouse, but in BCI, if you have a biosensor, then it will directly go to the machine and gets acted upon them. Softwares, you need operating system, middleware, because you have to connect two devices, maybe your mobile to be connected to metaverse. Okay, drivers you need, for example, drivers are needed to connect two devices. For example, if you have a printer and a computer, then you need a driver which will move the content from your computer to the machine, the printer. Sound engineering is another engineering which is needed because spatial audio is something which actually helps you to feel the reality in a metaverse world. I told you, if you are close to the stage in a musical concert, then you should be hearing the voice of the singer very loud and clear. But if you are moving away from him, then you should get feeble. For this, you need a different technology called spatial audio. And finally, areas of application. There where is all this augmented reality and VR technologies are used. So they are used in user experiences. That means there is an avatar, there is a player, there is an employee, and other things. They are used in the interfaces where actually you have mobile or smart glasses and displays. Virtual engines where actually a platform, like I told you, a gaming platform. And infrastructure is actually largely about cloud computing, storage, and other things. So now that you have done this, then these are the functions that you have to do as a career person interested in the development. You need to do 3D modeling, sketching, animation, rendering, and all. And these are the tools which are available for you. And like in the platform, like suppose you want to develop an application for the mobile, then Android is at a platform, iOS is a platform. Similarly, for a metaverse, these are the different platforms. Unity 3D is a gaming engine. Unreal 3 is actually same thing. Amazon Sumerium is actually a 3D platform. Spark AR is from Facebook. Cybernetics is a science of movement and also the tangibility. IDE is actually integrated development environment. So in software, integrated development environment gives you a complete toolkit for developing. For example, Oracle, which gives you a complete environment for a development of databases. Linux will give you a complete building a systems and communication and all. So that is what is the IDE tools and games engines. And libraries are those tools which will add functionality to this. For example, JavaScript will help you to communication between two clients. Similarly, React.js, 3JS, all this actually will help you to develop 3D entities and host them. So these are the development kits, if your AR kit, and these are all. So depending on your requirement, actually you can use them or start using them. Scripting languages are those which will connect a client to the server. So now depending on who is your client, for example, if you are using a mobile device, then that device need to be connected to a server which is serving a metaverse game or and all. So for that, depending on the device, you will be using these different languages. And Metaverse also has the interfaces through devices. Oculus is actually one which is now controlled by Meta, which is Facebook. Then HT is actually one. Microsoft HoloLens is one which actually helps you to create virtual reality experiences like meetings and all. Mobile VR is one where actually you can download a particular application and convert your mobile into a virtual resource. Okay. 3D web content, that means you need to add a third dimension to the content. Today, what we see on the web today is either a text or an image or a video, but in future we will see the content which will be, which will be rendered to you or served it as a 3D content. For that, you need a modeling. That means you should model whether it's an elephant or a horse. Okay. Then texturing, you have to design its skin and body and all. Publishing is finally sharing it to rest of the world. In addition to this, you maybe have to develop some professional skills. Okay, that could be like see how to use cloud computing for the metaverse development and other things. But that is what it is. So this as an opportunity is a great one for you, at least for the current generation. You should be seriously considering a career, and depending on your engineering background, you can do that one. Okay. So the conclusion is there are many factors that make augmented reality a lucrative career option, because if you are young and energetic and you are just completing your graduation or in the middle of your career in like in 30s and all, this would be a great career for next few years for you. So seriously consider this. So if there are any questions, that we will try to answer that. Okay. Okay, there is one question by Yamini. So how do you build up your skills to get graphic design in the metaverse? Okay. So Yamini, it's very simple. Graphic design includes three things. One is your creative ability to create uh, entities using drawing. That means your imagination and your geometry, and using digital devices like a paintbrush or other things to render them in the digital world. So if you have the combination of creative skills in designing something new, and if you can develop skills of using these digital tools for creating 3D dimension entities, it is, that's the way to go ahead. Okay, Vignesh, what is a good starting point for us to start coding in Unity or Unreal Engine? Okay, it feels quite intimidating. Yes, okay. See, Vignesh, it looks intimidating not because it is complex or hard, but because we have been used to this 3D, 2D world, and the transformation takes a little paradigm shift. Okay, so the reason is actually what I'm telling is actually this Unity and 3 Unreal and all, they have been on the same kind of a language platform, which earlier things like Java and all were there. But only you need a different imagination to start using them. For example, see, when we were writing programs in the C programming, like C language, we were using a procedure-oriented language. But when we went to C++, we needed a paradigm shift that we need to take advantage of object-oriented programming. It took some time for us, but then once we realized its benefit, then we started using it more and more. Similarly, what Vignesh, I tell you is, it is all changing your orientation. It is not difficult by its nature. It is difficult because we are trying to look the new opportunity with our old lens. That means we see it as a 2D challenge, but it is a 3D opportunity. Gautam, okay. See, coding languages actually, I told you, actually, I showed you here. I will show it back again. These are the languages which need to be used: C, C++, C, Java, Python, and all. And okay, and these languages. Okay, and I will can tell you that slide number 49 and slide number 51. Okay. Okay. Okay, no problem, Gautam. Actually, again, you can go to slide number 41 and sorry, 49 and 51. So Prasad is asking question: when do you think AR VR will be so mainstream that we handle? Okay, see, now we have something called legacy systems. What do we mean by legacy system? For example, when we started with mobile, we had entry models like Nokia and all. Then we had the smartphones, but it took some time before the whole population moved from the entry model to a smartphone. Okay. Similarly, what is currently being done is actually to deliver this metaverse experiences. The industry is taking three-pronged approach. That means if you are a leading user and if you are capable of giving money, then they have this head-mounted sets which will help you to experience virtual experiences. Okay. The second approach they are taking is actually, is it possible to deliver the services directly onto your existing desktop and mobile screens? So that also they are doing using something called browser add-ons. Okay, so that means there are, for example, that 3.js and all, they are developing an application approach where you can deliver a 3D service directly into your this one, your mobile. The third approach they are doing is actually to give you certain apps which you can download to your mobile and you start experiencing the 3D experience. So the answer to Mr. Prasad is that it is sooner, because those people who can afford money can buy those headsets and start experience right now. But if you want to wait for some more time, then it will come to your mobile and this one, which one, your screen browser. Yeah. So are there any questions, any more questions that I need to answer? Okay. If not, then there are some additional things that I would like to share with you. Okay, additional information is here. So Metaverse developer you can become. That means you need to develop either a game or an experience. Game development is one thing which is growing very fast. And when you talk about experience, you are definitely seeing actually, for example, you can develop an application for fitness. That means you don't have to go to gym and all or yoga, and actually you can train as a person, somebody in both fitness and yoga exercises using the metaverse experiences. Okay, and there are companies like Microsoft which have already developed many resources which are available for us. For example, HoloLens tutorials in Microsoft Mesh. These are the almost practically 3D experiences that you can start using them. And the platforms which are available include like this Unreal Engine and thing. Opportunities, you can also become an influencer today, Facebook influencer, social media influencer there. Then also you can try to become one. Virtual tourism is also another technology which you can check. Virtual architect, developer options. So there is no end for this. You have to only seriously consider this. That's it. So Sadhana is asking question, for a student, what is the best course for us to take, sir, to get you involved? Actually, Sadhana, the answer to your question is actually you can try one of these applications. I'll go back and tell you. This one, this. Okay. Okay, you can start with any one of this. For example, you can start with 3.js, which is a website which will help you to create small entities in the 3D dimensions. Or you can also go to what we call Spark AR by this one, Facebook. Okay. Hope I answered your question, Sadhana. Okay. Okay, and that's the best point to start. You start with Spark here because it has all the tools kits so that you can have your first feel about creating a third three-dimensional entities. Then if you are good in that, then go to 3.js. Then actually there is something called Babylona.js that also you can start. So it is like, see, it takes some time, 3 to 6 months time, but then it is like running C programming. So when you start running the program, you just write simple program to add two numbers, multiply two numbers, find the area of a circle and all. But then you know that C is much powerful than that. Okay, any more questions, participants? You can always access this presentation from this link This is the link that you can always touch because this will be a regular presentation available for all the people that I'm going to develop and keep it updated all the time. Kindly notice this particular URL, HTTPS bitline. Okay, and for any other presentation things, you can. Okay. So hopefully I was useful. Okay. Yes, okay. The email is it. Okay. So let me. Okay, great. So tomorrow I'm actually delivering a session on algo trading. That means algorithm can be used to write programs and monitor your trading actually stock trading, share trading. Okay. So if you are interested, by 6 p.m. tomorrow, you can join me. Bye for now.